Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is another Martial Monday. We're on to monks now, and we're covering the way of the ancestral dragon monk.
Close.
What?
It's Ascendant Dragon Monk, but you were close.
What did I say?
Ancestral.
Ancestral dragon. No, yeah. All right. The way of the Ascendant Dragon.
There it is. Yeah. I think different people designed this game for these different books because, like, at Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, they finally were like, okay, we should throw Monk a bone and give them a third level feature that isn't just like you punch a little bit differently. And they actually get like two features here with some robust text. The mechanics of it, I think, are really fun and very draconic. You're still a monk, but like I think this is one of the first options that actually starts to address a lot of Monk's core problems in a pretty interesting way. There are a couple other subclasses that they get that are like, all right, this is working well with what they're given. But I think this is one of my favorite options that you can pick for Monk, and it's the kind of thing I would want to do. I also really love the theme too, right? So like,
yeah, the theme is fine, but I've been looking through this and I'm not impressed. But yeah, maybe you'll turn me around.
Sure, let's get into it. I might be overhyping it. I haven't read it before now. I read it when I reviewed it. Maybe I'm rose-tinted glasses or something. So this is, again, from Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. It starts with a draconic origin, so you get a cute little table where you can get some flavor stuff. So, like, you can have a dragon personally took an active role in shaping your inner energy, which I don't entirely know what that looks like.
You're raised by dragons.
Yeah, sure. You found a scroll written in draconic that it contained inspiring new techniques, which, yeah, sure. The actual feature you get, though, after you pick your little, like, what little backstory element should I incorporate for my subclass, is Draconic Disciple is the first of the features you get. So at 3rd level, you can channel your draconic power to magnify your presence and imbue your unarmed strikes with the essence of Dragon's Breath. You gain the following benefits. And normally, this is a regular monk subclass, this is all you would get. You get Draconic Presence, so if you fail a Charisma, Intimidation, or Charisma Persuasion check, you can use your reaction to reroll the check as you tap into the mighty presence of dragons. Once you use this feature, you can't again until you finish a long rest. So it's just a free thing. Once per long rest, you can reroll an Intimidation or Persuasion check. It's interesting, at least. I like that a lot better than, like, its expertise in it, or you just gain that skill. I think this is a lot more interesting of a space. You get Draconic Strike, so whenever you damage a target with an unarmed strike, you can change the damage type to Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, or Poison, which is really good about getting around the bludgeoning, slashing, piercing, but non-magic weapon resistances earlier. So that's neat. You eventually would get that anyway, but yeah, sure, for free. Why not get it out of the gate? And you also get Tongue of Dragon, so you learn to speak, read, write Draconic in one of the language of your choice. And that's all just kind of like flavorfully fitting dragon stuff that beats non-weapon magic resistance, or non-magic weapon resistance. And again, that's kind of what I'm like, a lot of other monk subclasses give you, like, you ignore weapon resistance. Or something akin to that as far as power level goes in combat, which is why I would be like, this would be the only feature I'd expect on other ones. However, you get another feature. And that feature is Breath of the Dragon.
Good, because so far I'm seeing 3 nothings.
Yeah, Draconic Strike is boring and bland, and I don't like boring and bland, but it's meaningful in that it will get you over a hump. So, like, I like to see that alongside something more impressive. And the other thing you get is called Breath of the Dragon. So at 3rd level, you can channel destructive waves of energy like those created by the dragons you emulate. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of the attacks with an exhalation of draconic energy in a 20-foot cone or 30-foot line that is 5 feet wide. Choose a damage type, Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, or Poison. Each creature in the area makes a dex save against your key save DC, taking damage equal to the chosen type, equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. At 11th level, this feature increases to 3 rolls of your martial arts dice. And again, that's the kind of text that would just be your 11th level feature in other options, right? Like, a lot of the time, you'd just be like, you add 3 now instead. But they baked it in here, which is great. And additionally, it says you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You get all of them back when you finish a long rest. And when you have no uses available, if you want to use it more, you can do it at 2 key points a pop.
Okay.
This thing's great. This is a genuinely fantastic little feature. This is going to give you the feeling of being like a direct, like, if you want to play a Way of 4 Elements monk, but you are aware that that archetype is garbage, reflavor Draconic, and you're there, right? You just pick poison, or you pick fire, you throw little fire cones, you're doing the whole firebender thing with 1/3 level feature in a much more effective and powerful fashion. You get a deeper resource pool that monks desperately need. The cone and line gives you a lot of versatility in how you attack things, and it's only ever costing you 1 attack, which means it scales with extra attack, which you really want as a monk. You don't want something that replaces your action because you need to attack to take flurry of blows and stuff. Everything this does is just excellent, and you get it out the gate. It helps you do like dynamic things against multiple enemies. It gives you a place to shine in combats where you're like, all right, sweeping flaming cone against those 3 little things, then I punch this other big one 3 times. That's so sweet. Come on, how can you not love this?
All right, I don't not love this. I mean, I'm mostly talking about later stuff, but yeah, that's cool. And what else I like about this is even with the Draconic Disciple stuff, none of this is costing you key points,
None of it.
unless you want to use more breaths of the dragon. But I don't foresee that happening too
Sometimes you
super
might.
often.
If
Yeah.
you're against like hordes of things, you might. But especially in the early tier, you're pretty happy just like getting your 2 uses out of it and spending flurry of blows on the rest of it and being like, yeah, that's just good.
All right, so as far as monks go, so far so good.
Yeah, genuinely, like you really hit the nail on the head. No key expenditures here is a huge deal because you have 3 key points to your name.
Yeah.
And that is not enough to like give you an entire other feature that has to compete with an extra attack. So like, yeah, this is great. 6th level, you get Wings Unfurled. So at 6th level, whenever you use your Step of the Wind feature, which I think is a wildly underrated feature, you can unfurl spectral draconic wings for your back that vanish at the end of turn. While the wings exist, you have fly speed equal to your walking speed. And you can use the feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, get them all back when you finish a long rest. So you're not high on this feature.
Maybe I misunderstand it. Explain to me again what Step of the Wind does unadorned.
Okay, so whenever you get the key feature, you get 3 abilities. One of them is Flurry of Blows, one of them is Patient Defense, which I have seen used ones of times, and another one is Step of the Wind. That's the last one.
Yeah.
Step of the Wind is you can spend a key point to take the disengage or dash action as a bonus action on your turn, and your jump distance is doubled. So what that often would look like is you bonus action dash, leap a gap, and it's really, really sweet, and you like ninja all your way over the things. It's very cool. This one lets you, whenever you get a bonus action dash, you also get a fly speed for that turn. And because you go very, very fast, this basically translates to your Step of the Wind now gives you a 40-foot fly speed that you are dashing with. So you're getting 80 feet of flight for a bonus action at a single key point.
All right, that's not so bad. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how this is. All right, give it to me side by side. What does it look like? Regular Step of the Wind against using this.
Okay, regular Step of the Wind, you double your jump distance. That's still going to be gated by your speed, but you otherwise are doing a bonus action dash.
Right.
What Way of the Ascendant Dragon does is basically replaces the need for the jump text and just lets you fly instead. So you'll move vertically instead of just horizontally for the most part, and are able to transcend much larger vertical spaces is the big difference here, right?
Okay.
So instead of doing like one long jump or a fairly short high jump, it's gonna be like 15 feet total. You can just fly 80 feet up if you need to, right? Assuming you've got like enough fast movement at this stage. At 6th level, we're looking at fast movement of how fast are we going? Plus 15 feet. So if you're like a bit of a regular human, you have 45-foot speed, so you can fly 90 feet up with your dash. So you're zooming, you're flying all over the place.
All right, and what happens after that? You fall.
Yeah. So don't.
All right, so yeah, okay. I just don't know how often this is going to be super useful.
So I think there'll be a couple instances where there'll be a couple of combats where you'll find like, oh my god, I'm so happy that I can fly over and punch this giant thing in the face, right? Like you're in the dragon fight, you just fly up to the dragon, jump on its back, start wailing on it, right? That's sort of fairly niche though. Where I like it a lot more is out of combat. Where I like this a lot more is you just like bonus action bolt and you are gone. You're vertically way up into the air. You don't have to navigate space. You can just be on top of whatever building you're looking to scale. This is like a superhero jump stable to your monk. Because it's no longer like, oh, I jumped 20 feet up. Huzzah. No. You zoom up. So you can traverse towers with ease. You have not quite the same as a fly speed, but I think this is pretty close to what fly gives you as far as how you can traverse the world in a fun space.
I mean, it is literally a fly speed, but you just need to make sure, you land on something.
Yes.
Right.
Within 90 feet of you, which shouldn't be that hard. And you can do it a couple times, hop to thing, hop to thing, hop to thing. I think this has absolutely no business having proficiency bonus number of uses. That's really stupid. You're not going to be doing this that much anyway. That text genuinely hurts the feature from players that really would love to use it. I'm one of those kinds of players. I would love to fly around with this thing. It's very superhero-esque. But like, I guess they felt that giving monks almost fly was too good, which tells you a lot about how they still feel about monk, even in the day and age where they're making not the worst option you could possibly make.
Yeah, and they don't even have the additional text where you can spend a key point or two to use this.
Yeah.
More than that.
You're already spending a key point for Step of the Wind.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But
yeah, but still, I mean, if you wanted to.
Agreed. I would love to see just like one extra key point for extra use would be seemingly reasonable to me. I also would love to have seen like the fly speed lasts a minute. Like, why not? Again, we're at a tier where you're only getting 2 uses out of this anyway. You'd be zooming. That'd be sweet. And you're competing with 3rd level spell slots. That seems on par, especially if you're going to gate it like this. But as is, I still think it's like a pretty fine, cool little feature that gives monks something to do out of combat. They really want things to do out of combat. It's a powerful, fast thing to do out of combat. It takes something that monk players really tend to love, which is the going fast, right? It's the when you play a monk, you see your unarmed movement speed just keeps going up, and you're like, oh, I need mobile. Oh, I need to be a tabaxi. Oh, I need to zoom. And this is like fits directly into that, where you're like, oh, not only am I zooming, I'm zooming through space. Like it's really cool. Right. Powerful, probably not, but cool. 11th level gives us Aspect of the Worm, if we're ready to move on. Yes. This is a 11th level feature, so it says the power of your draconic spirit now radiates from you, warding your allies and inspiring fear in your enemies. As a bonus action. Now that's expensive, because that means you're not Flurry of Blows. You can create an aura of draconic power that radiates 10 feet from you for a minute, so it does last a while at least. For the duration, gain one of the following effects of your choice. Frightful Presence. When you create this aura as a bonus action and as a bonus action on subsequent turns, you can choose a creature within that aura. It makes a whiz save against your key save DC or becomes frightened of you for a minute. The target can repeat the save at the end of each turns and they face ending the effect on itself on its success. Or you can pick resistance. Choose a damage type. When you activate this aura, acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison. You and your allies within this aura have resistance to that damage. I think if you're using this feature, it's almost always going to be that text, and very rarely going to be the Frightful Presence text. That's because Stunning Strike exists. But
I like the resistance because unlike other similar effects we've had in different classes, you don't just like lock into one kind of damage type. You get to choose which damage type you want when you use this effect. So that's going to be a lot more useful across the board. The Frightful Presence is frustrating to me because it's an aura, but you have to choose one person in or one creature inside the aura every time, and I don't love that. I mean, this is 11th level. You could make an aura, make it effective for everybody gets a saving throw, sure, but give me something impressive.
Agreed, especially given that it's like a 10-foot range. Like,
yeah, what is that?
That it doesn't. I think framing this as an aura makes the resistance kind of work, but the Frightful Presence is just kind of like, how do we make this work with the resistance? And they're like, well, we don't want to make them fear everything within 10 feet of them. Those 2 monsters, as opposed to 1 monster, be debilitating. Meanwhile, they're like, I'm not using this because I can just Stunning Strike the single monster instead, and that's way better. Turns out stunning is way better than fearing things, and like, I'm gonna much prefer to do that, and just Flurry of Blows it to make sure that it happens. But like, maybe there are some encounters where like you haven't used this yet, so you were revving up the encounter. You go, okay, I will Aspect the Worm, take Frightful Presence against like one thing. I'll run it down, hit it twice, try and fear it. But like but then you like aren't trying to Stunning Strike it, so maybe you're like out of key. I don't know. I think the Frightful Presence is almost non-text here, but the resistance is going to be genuinely kind of solid. 5 different types is a lot. Not as like I really wish this had Radiant Necrotic on it. That we saw the Crystal Dragons get those. So like, yeah, sure, lump them in. Let it be a little bit more flexible than that, because there'll still be encounters where this doesn't have text. But most encounters, I think you'll be like, oh, that thing's doing a decent chunk of fire damage. Fire resistance is up. Relatively cheap to put down. It doesn't fall off until you go unconscious or the minute expires. I think it's a pretty solid little resistance area that'll make you feel pretty cool.
Is it 11th level feature worthy, do you think?
Compared to other 11th level features, it absolutely is. Is it like better than casting? Certainly not. This is still way under the bar for good level 11 features, like 6th level spells. So, this is no 6th level spell, but it is, sure. It's a once per rest thing. You could spend 3 key points to do it again. At this point, you have 11 key points, which is not the most. So I still don't like. I don't love spending 3 key points on this unless I'm getting I know I'm getting big value from the resistance twice. So like if you go one big encounter against dragons and you're like, okay, fire resistance is up, we're chilling. The next one's against magmen or something, like swarms of giant enemies like salamanders and stuff. You throw it up fire again. Sure, I could see that maybe being the window for it. I think most of the time you're gonna find like the 1 encounter per long rest and use it then. And then it's still like that, not that impressive of a feature. So
all right, moving on.
Oh, better than the average resistance feature, worse still than good level 11 features.
Yeah.
We end things with Ascendant Aspect. So this is competing with 9th level spells, if we're going to look at the tier of this, because it's a 17th level feature. At 17th level, your Draconic Spirit reaches its peak. You gain the following benefits. Augment Breath. When you use your Breath of the Dragon, you can spend... Oh! Real quick, I didn't want to touch on. You also get the upgrade for your damage dice there at 11th level. So that is meaningful. Like, that is also what a kind of a boost your character you get there. So having a kind of mid feature isn't the end of the world. Anyway, you can get the following benefits. So at 17th level, you can get Augment Breath. When you use your Breath of the Dragon, you can spend a key point to augment its shape and power. The exhalation of Draconic energy becomes either a 60-foot cone or 90-foot line that's 5 feet wide, your choice. And each creature in the area takes 4 rolls instead of 3, and have as much damage on a successful save. So like you get like empower your things for Cone of Colds, basically, and you're doing 40-12 at this point. Neat. I like that it's just a passive thing you get, and it gives you a really easy way to spend those 17 key points you got. I'm into it. You get Blind Sight, so you just get this. You gain Blind Sight up to 10 feet. Within that range, you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness. Moreover, you can see invisible creatures within that range, unless that creature successfully hides from you. Love it. No notes. Perfect. Great. Okay. You can be in darkness. If anything's near you, if anything's within the hitting range of you, you see it. And then we have Explosive Fury. Whenever you activate your Aspect of the Worm, which is your 11th level feature, Draconic Fury explodes from you. Choose any number of creatures you can see within the aura. Each of those creatures makes a dex save against your key save DC or takes 3d10 acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage. It's 10 feet still. I'm not that impressed. It's still going to be like, yeah, okay, I don't feel as bad whenever I use it in combat. But
yeah, that's what
this really is more of a quality of life thing.
I've got a reason to use my Aspect of the Worm. Another reason.
Yeah, I really think this could have just been stable to it, and I'd have been like, oh, yeah, it's okay, sure. So you're not really forgoing that much. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Blindsight's fine. Augment Breath is pretty cool. I like the increased range. I like that it only costs a key point. Now, what were you saying about the damage output here?
So we're at level 17 monk is going to be using, I'm sorry, not D12s, D10s as their martial arts dice. So you're getting 40-10 here. So not only does your dice quantity increase, so does your dice size. So that's kind of nice. And this is the kind of thing you're going to be spamming every single round at this point. So like you can just basically look at, you're going to be making a bunch of attacks and just throwing out 40-10 cones of damage every round, which is a pretty solid damage output, especially if you can hit multiple things. Now, is this worth a 17th level feature for what are functionally just 3 basic upgrades? No. This isn't competing with Meteor Swarm. This isn't competing with Wish. This isn't competing with, a 5th level summon, like Conjure Minor Elementals or anything like that. That being said, not everything can.
No. But, I mean, this does feel like a pretty significant upgrade for this subclass, though.
Yeah, agreed.
Between a 16th level and 17th level Ascendant Dragon Monk is pretty huge. Just being able to spam Fire Breath or Poison Breath or whatever you want.
You kind of already do that. You're still limited to 6 uses of it, right? Because it's still tied to proficiency bonus. I don't know if it's that big of an upgrade, honestly. Getting 1 extra die size for a key point, like, you're probably going to spend that. Like, most of the time, you're going to burn through all of your key points as fast as you can at this point. Like, you're not going to be able to spend all 17 of your key points every single round unless you're Stunning Strike like 5 times. So I think a lot of the time, this is going to be a marginal upgrade, but you're still I think there's going to be non-zero amounts of time where you are just using the base numbers and you're not spending the point on the extra range or anything to that effect, because the extra range is only going to be so beneficial. There are only going to be so many encounters that care about 60-foot cone versus 20-foot cone. The line, I think, is even less likely to matter. I do like that the line kind of makes it a ranged attack. There's going to be situations where you're like, I'm engaging, I'm really far away, but I'm within 90 feet, so I'm going to throw a bolt this thing. That's kind of cool.
I mean, 60 feet, like 90 feet, that's not just range, that's also a wider area.
Yeah, 60-foot cone is going to be wider and longer, and 90-foot line is going to be longer. Both of those things are fine. A lot of encounters I still think aren't going to, like, if once you're in the thick of it, you're gonna be like, okay, great. Everything that fits in the 60-foot cone also fits in the 20-foot cone that I really care about hitting for the most part, right? If we're talking about like little minis and stuff. So sometimes you get 1 or 2 extra things, that's fine. A lot of times it's like a big fine passive upgrade. Now, is it 17th level big fine passive upgrade? Eh? It's a lot of text. Yeah, for Monk, I think it's fine. I would play this out. I would play 17 levels of this, I think, just because I think that fantasy is really sweet. And even if it's not the most like efficient thing in the world, especially whenever we're comparing against, you know, other character classes, if I'm in a party with no full caster, I think it's gonna feel fine. If I'm in a caster with any full caster, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's a big difference. But like, you know, that's just the nature of the game at this point. And this certainly doesn't compete with those kinds of features, which is sad that that's the case, but here we are.
All right, well, I will agree with you that of the 2 monks we've covered so far, this is the superior one.
It's by a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this 3rd level feature genuinely is sweet. You can go a long time off just the 3rd level feature. Like, you won't mind 6th level coming around, even if you don't love Wings Unfurled. You're doing your Breath of the Dragon is scaling with your martial arts die size. It's getting more uses with your proficiency bonus, and like you're able to watch that those dice increase. You're able to get more varied encounters where the line's going to matter more, where the cone's going to matter more. I think it's genuinely very spicy, and we can't like it's also just stable to 3 perfectly or 2 and a language. Extra little features with Draconic Disciple, right? Like you get the damage swap on martial attacks if you want. You get Draconic Presence, which gives you a little bit of out of combat utility that's cute. You get Wings Unfurled eventually for a lot more out of combat utility. And while like I would have loved to see a ritual spell stable to this somewhere, for the most part, as far as subclasses go, this thing looks fun. It looks like better, like a meaningful upgrade on what Base Monk is doing. I'm inclined to say this is like B-level territory. It's not going to rock any table by any stretch, but like this is genuinely great for a Monk subclass.
Oh man, B seems generous.
What aren't you impressed by?
No, you're still a monk.
Okay, I will also say this. I have played with you. I've played with a lot of people, and most tables, Monk feels excellent because most tables aren't facing off the as optimized min-max characters as possible. There will sometimes be 1 or 2 of those players in the kinds of groups that our monks are playing at, but I've seen mid-experience level tables watch monks just thrive, right? Where characters aren't taking Great Weapon Master, where characters aren't taking feats that wildly increase their output of damage. Monks hit a bunch of different things. Their early game feels excellent when you're making 3 attacks at 3rd level. Like, you have a lot of power baked into your base option that's going to feel great into the mid-tiers. Stunning Strike feels debilitating to deal with against some big bads. I think Monk gets a bad rep. Even if its damage output is numerically lower, especially in the upper tiers compared to everyone else, they do a lot of cool things, and you can have a great time playing them. I think that just because they aren't going to be... they don't synergize or have as many build opportunities doesn't mean you can't have a really good time at most tables with this class.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. You talked me up quite a ways, but I'm not in B territory. I'll give him a C+. All right. Well, that was Way of the Ascendant Dragon. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let us know what you think of this monk subclass down in the comments, or what you think of monks in general, or what you had for lunch today. I don't care. Leave some comments, like and subscribe and all that, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.